Happy Thanksgiving. For class, you need a book. If you don't have a book, we're going to put it in between our knees, or in between our thighs, rather, and possibly be standing on it. So if you have a pillow or instead, that will work totally fine, or you can just think about having it there. And then light weights, I have 2 pounds. Anything under 5 is fine. And we will get started on our backs. I have to move Cookie Monster out of the way. Okay, so come to lay on your back and bring your block with you as you lay down. And then you're just going to put it in between your knees. And you can either have it like wide ways if that feels more comfortable on your hips, or narrow, whichever is better for you. And then lay all the way down with your head on the floor. Bring one hand to your ribs and one hand to your lower stomach. If being on your back is uncomfortable and you want to do this in all fours or sitting up, you totally can. Sitting up, you just have the block between your hands. Take a nice big inhale. Feel your ribs expand wide to the side and into the mat. And then exhale. Let yourself sink down into the floor. Take another big inhale here. And exhale. And this time you're going to inhale. And on your exhale, you're going to feel your pelvic floor start to lift. And then feel your hip bones draw towards one another. Your the middle of your stomach cinch towards one another. Your ribs draw in. And that block will just kind of automatically get a little squeeze. And then take an inhale. Let everything release. Exhale, lift the pelvic floor. Draw the hip bones together. Draw the ribs together. And then release. Giving a little squeeze to that block as you find that engagement through the pelvic floor, the lift, the drawing in of your ribs and your hips, and the center of your abdominals. Inhale, let it release. Exhale, bring it all the way in. Lift through the pelvic floor, draw the ribs together, draw the abdominals in, and then the ribs in, and then pause here. And take an inhale, letting your ribs and chest release, but that pelvic floor stays lifted, the hips stay drawing towards one another, and give the block a little squeeze on the exhale. And then inhale, squeeze, and squeeze, and squeeze for 4, 3, 2, 1. Just finding that pelvic floor, and then let yourself release. Take the block out from underneath you. And then either roll onto your side or just come all the way up, whatever way is comfortable for you. And then you're going to come onto all fours, bringing your block in front. Actually, bring the block right between your knees, or between your thighs again, just like we had it a second ago. But now your hands are right underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. And then just take a nice big inhale. And again, give that block a little squeeze as you exhale and feel the pelvic floor lift, hips draw in, ribs draw towards each other, cinching through the center of your abdominals, and then release. One more time. Exhale, give that block a little squeeze, that lift of the pelvic floor, drawing in of your ribs. You can still breathe here even though you're nice and engaged, and then release. And then here, returning to a nice, more movement breath pattern. You're going to take a nice big inhale. And on your inhale, you're going to tilt your sitting bones up towards the ceiling, lengthen through the front of your body, send your collarbone through your arms, almost like you're pushing the block back behind you. And then on your exhale, feel like you're drawing the block forward, lift the pelvic floor, lift through the abdominals and round your spine. And then find your exhale, almost feel like that block goes back, lengthen through the pelvic floor. And then feel it lift, feel the ribs draw in, transverse abdominis and your ribs as you lower your head. Chin is not pressed into your chest, let it go. And then one more time, finding that nice extension, release of the pelvic floor. And then press through your whole hand, your shins, the tops of your feet, giving that block a little squeeze, and then find a nice neutral spine. From here, take the block out and just put it in front of you. And you're gonna extend your right leg back behind you, tuck those toes under, send your heel back, get a nice stretch through the calf on that right foot, and then come forward a little and then press back again. One more time, coming forward and press back. And then float your leg up so that it is no higher than your hip. And then from here, you're just gonna tap your leg down and then think about lifting from the back of the leg where the glute meets the hamstring, and then tap it down and lift it up for 4. Moving nice and slowly, 3. Feeling the support of your pelvic floor as you lift, 2. Last one. And then draw that knee underneath you, press through your hands, round your spine. And then as you come to a nice neutral spine, extend that leg back behind you. And then again, round it underneath you and extend. And if it doesn't feel good to come into flexion here, you're just bringing your knee into your chest and extending it out. 4 more. Make sure your weight is distributed so that you're not leaning all the way over to that left side. Your hips are square to the floor. 2 more. And last one. And then lower that leg all the way down underneath you, switching to the other side. Tuck the toes under on the left leg, press back through the heel, and then come forward, release that stretch a little, 2 more times, pressing back, and forward, last one. And then float that leg up, and then from here, we're just gonna tap it down for 6, 5, 4, making sure you have that little bit of extra weight in that left hand to keep yourself nice and square. 2, last one, and then bend it underneath you, round your spine, and then extend. And again, if that's not comfortable, just bring the knee in, hinging at the hip, and extend back, or round. Feeling that lift of the pelvic floor as you bring the knee in. Four more. Check in with your hands. Make sure you haven't lifted through the palm. Last one. And then lower that leg all the way down. From here, you can grab a weight if you'd like. If not, you're just going to do this with your arm. You're going to take your block and place it underneath your left hand. And then you're just going to bring your right arm hanging down underneath you. And from here, you're going to pull that elbow up towards the ceiling, nice and close to your body. Your hand's going to come between your hips and your ribs, and then touch it down towards the floor. And then again, pull up and back down. And lift. And if you don't want to do this with the weight, you can just drop it. Make sure your weight is not back over your heels. You still want to be in this all fours position for 3, 2, last one. Hold it up, and you're going to extend back behind you, straightening your arm, and then pull it back in underneath you. And then extend it out. Your palm stays facing your body, facing in as you extend for 4, 3, feel your tricep almost squeeze against that upper arm bone. 2, and last one. Lower it all the way down. You can keep your weight if you like, but I'm going to drop mine. And you're going to bring your hand right in line with your shoulder. Palm faces the floor, or just below your shoulder rather. Elbow in close towards your body. You're going to lift your right arm out to the side and then pull it back in. When I said out to the side, I mean overhead. And pull it back in. And up. And back in. 4 more. 3, 2, make sure your weight hasn't started to shift back over those heels. 2, last one, pull it all the way in, lower your hand down. Move that weight a little bit out of your way. And from here, you are going to walk your knees back behind you. Bring your left hand down onto the floor and just bring that block right in front of you. And from here, send your elbows back behind you as you slowly lower your torso towards the ground and then press the floor away. We're just going to do 4 push-ups like this. Tuck that tailbone under, find the lift of your pelvic floor as you lift and press. almost like your abs are helping push you up towards the ceiling. And then from here, bring that block right underneath your left hand. Your knees can be as far back behind you as you like, or they can be more or less underneath you. I'm going to go somewhere in between. Think about lengthening through the tailbone. You're in a nice long line. You're going to bend your elbows back towards the floor and press up. Back towards your hips and press up, not towards the floor. I don't know how that would work. 3, 2, exhale. Think your exhale is propelling you up. Last one. Good. And now bring your legs right back underneath you. And you're going to press your right arm up towards the ceiling and then reach back down. And then press it up, rotate, and back down. 2 more. Your hips can move with you a little here. They don't need to be so fixated. Last one. And then extend your right leg back behind you. And you're going to lift and open up into a little supported side bend here and press down. And then open through that hip, lift. Right leg is planted on the floor, right foot. 2. And last one, opening up towards the side. Press the hips forward here, and then side bend up and over, getting a nice stretch. And then come all the way back down and slide that block over to the right. From here, right hand is on the block to give you a little bit more height. The weight is in your left hand if you choose to use it. Knees underneath your hips. Pull that weight straight between your ribs and your hips and let it come back down and lift and down. And if this is too much on your wrist, you can always come onto your knuckles, making a fist, or simply move the block out of the way, roll your mat in half, and then let the heels of your hands be higher than the rest of your palms and your fingertips. That'll take some of the crease out of your wrist. This time, pull up and pause, and then kick it back. Palm stays facing in. And extend, pause with that arm straight, draw it back down. 5 more. 3, checking in on your spine and your abdominals, making sure you're not hanging out here towards the floor, you're pressing the ground away. Last one, lower the arm all the way down. From here, extend it out in front of you, and then pull it back in. Palm faces the floor, comes slightly below your shoulder. Again, you can use your weight here if you'd like. For 5, 4, make sure your weight hasn't crept back like mine. 3, 2, and last one. Lower that hand down towards the floor. We're gonna skip the 4 plain push-ups for now. We will do that at the end. Knees can come as far back as you'd like. And then you're gonna bend your elbows back towards your hips as you lower down. Press the floor away. You don't need to come down very high. Just creating a little bit of instability and added challenge here with this block for 3, 2, and last one. Good. Bring your knees back underneath you. Press into that right hand, lift and rotate around the shoulder and back down. For 3, 2, and last one. Noticing if one side is a little stickier than the other. That left leg reaches back, tuck the toes under. That right foot comes slightly out to the side, and then you're going to pivot around that right hip and open. And back down. And open. And back down. 2 more. And then we'll take a nice side stretch. Oh, I did one extra. Got distracted. And then reach overhead. Make sure that elbow or shoulder rather is not up by your knee. And then come all the way down. Move that block out of the way. Both hands onto the, or before we do that, bring your hands together, clasp your fingers, and then just roll your wrists out 3 or 4 times in one direction, and then switch. Good, and then come back into all fours, walk your knees back behind you. If you wanted to come into a full plank here, we're gonna do 4 more push-ups, that's your choice. Or you can be on your knees with me. Lengthen through the front of your body, tailbone tucked under, elbows by your side, press up. Think about lifting your pelvic floor, drawing your ribs towards one another, your hip bones towards one another. 3, last one. Good, bring your knees nice and wide, sit your hips back. Think about pressing the floor away as you come to sit back. If you want to grab your block and put it underneath your hips here, you can totally do that. And then rock your head and your hips from one side to the other here. Good, and then come onto your side. We're gonna be down on our right sides first, and you want your weight to come with you. So you can be on your forearm rather, and then your knees can be stacked one on top of the other. You can have one leg long, or you can have both legs long and sort of be in this side plank position with your hips down. I'm gonna have both my knees here. Press up through this right arm, and then think about gently dragging your forearm in towards your hip. That will help get your lats engaged and get you ready to go. So weight in your hand, elbow by your side, palm is facing away from you. You're just gonna slowly let it come down just in line with the floor, and then externally rotate and lift it up to that starting position. And then let it come down just in line with the floor, and then open back up. 6 more. 5. Keep pressing the floor away. Neck is long. You can look down at the floor. You can look up at your hand, straight ahead, whatever works. 2. Last one. And then from here, you're going to lift it straight up overhead. Find that position where your wrist is right above your shoulder. And then you're going to send your elbow down by your side, resisting the weight as it comes down, and then push it straight back up. And then resist, bring it down. And up. Nice and controlled. Even though we're just moving our arm, really still thinking about that light engagement through the pelvic floor, active abdominals. You're not squeezing them. They shouldn't be hard to the touch, but they're doing something here. 2 more. Last one. Pause with your arm up towards the ceiling. Lower it all the way down, all the way down, all the way down until that palm is in line with your shoulder, and then lift it back up. Think about your shoulder blade gently gliding away from your spine here, and then think about it staying flat on the back, but gently gliding in. Having a soft bend in the elbow here is great. You don't want to make sure your arm is not locked out. We're only going to do 3 more of these. These are brutal. My arm is already shaking. Lack of Pilates these last 2 months is kicking in. And up. Good. Pause here. Bring the arm all the way down. Bring it all the way in towards your body. And then you are going to either stay here or lay all the way down on your side. I'm going to come down onto my side, but feel free to stay on your forearm if you'd like. Lift your left leg up in line with your hip. And then from here, you're going to press down through that leg so it's almost like you're standing, or you could be standing on this left leg, and then resist to bring it back in. Spine stays nice and neutral here. Your ribs are stacked, or your hips rather, are stacked one on top of the other. Your pelvis is staying quiet in that you're not rounding and arching. Press down. And then bend it back in. One more time, press down here. You're going to keep your leg straight. You're going to hinge at the hip as you bring your leg forward. You can have a soft bend in your knee if you need. And then press back through the back of the leg like we did in all fours to come to that standing position. And again, hinge at the hip. Think about lengthening the sitting bone towards the wall that way. I was going to say towards the door, but that's not useful for everybody. 2. And last one. And then pause with your legs slightly in front of your hip. And you're going to do like medium-sized circles, like somewhere between a large dinner plate and like a serving platter. 2 more in this direction. Last one. And then reverse. Trying to keep your body pretty quiet, finding a little bit of stability here. 2. Last one. And then bring it all the way in. And then you're just going to press yourself all the way up and come onto your other side. So, starting on your forearm. Arm underneath you, knees, legs stacked, one out long, whatever works for you. And then again, think about drawing this left arm in towards you, finding that engagement through the lat, the press up and lift through the side. And then take your weight, start it palm facing away, knuckles up towards the ceiling, wrist stays strong. I didn't say that on the other side. Slowly resist this down. Your wrist stays in line, or your hand stays in line with your forearm. You're not leading with your hand as you go down. Pretend it's in a cast. And up. Four more. Check in on the neck. Make sure you don't have a whole lot of extra tension there. 2. Last one. Pause here at the top. Reach your arm all the way up. Find that position where your wrist is right over your shoulder. And then resist it down. Resist, resist, resist. Create the work here. And then press up. Find that spot. And then back down. 6 more. Again, creating that tension. Three. 2 more. And last one. Leave the arm here. Press the floor away. Make sure you're nice and supported by this left arm. That elbow hasn't crept up by your shoulder rather. All the way down in line with your shoulder. And then feel that shoulder blade slide in towards the spine. Without arching the ribs, you're nice and connected through the front. Ribs and hips, the distance between your ribs and hips is not changing. 4 more. 3. 2 more. And then last one. And then bring your arm all the way down. Put that weight off to the side. We don't need it anymore. And then either lay all the way down on your side or you can stay how you are, your choice. Start with lifting this top right leg up in line with your hip, and then you're going to press it down long. You should be open through the front of the hip in a nice neutral position here. And then you can always keep that hand on your sacrum as you bend and straighten this leg, just to make sure that you're staying, nice and neutral. You can also always bring a finger to your hip crease and really think about like trying to hide your fingers as you bend your knee in. 3 more. Again, finding that stability. 2. And last one. Leave the leg long, hinge at the hip, sweep it forward, Find that length through the sitting bones. And again, you can always now, obviously the hand on your sacrum, hand in your hip crease, but you can also put a hand on your glute and really feel your sitting bone drop down into your hand as you bring it forward. 4 more. But this bottom leg should stay nice and still. Come up on my forearm to finish. 3, 2, and last one. And now we're going to do some circles to finish. Again, that medium size, slightly in front of that 90 or 180 degree angle. 2, last one, and reverse your circle. 3, 2, and last one. Bring that leg all the way down and then press yourself back up into tabletop real quick. Knees come nice and wide, and then press yourself back, giving yourself a nice stretch through your glutes and a little bit in your upper back, and then plant your elbows on the floor. Stack one hand on top of the other, doesn't matter which, we'll switch, and then bring it just to where your shoulder blades meet, or maybe this is just like the very base of, not the base of your spine, the base of your neck. Take a few breaths here. Maybe you get a little tricep stretch. Maybe you get a little extra stretch in your back. That's what I feel. Extend your arms all the way along. Switch which one is on top, and then bring the hands back. Melting towards the floor. Good, then press your hands down and think about lifting your chest up like you're gonna shoot through your hands, finding that extension through the upper back. And then press the floor away and then round the upper back. And then press the hands into the floor. Feel the heels of the hands pull back towards your knees like you're gonna slide forward, find that extension. And then press the floor away. One more time. Find that nice extension through the upper back. And then press all the way back down, but this time walk your hands all the way over to the right. Press the floor away, send your hips to the left, getting a nice stretch through that left side of your body. You can even bring your right hand close to your shoulder and think about rotating open towards the right side, but only if this feels good. Bring that right hand back to meet the left. Press the floor away one more time. And then come over to the other side. First, just press the floor away. Hips over to the right. And then press that left palm into the floor closer to your knee if that feels good. Rotating yourself open to the left, right shoulder towards the floor. Keeping your shoulders nice and relaxed. And then bring the left hand to meet the right. Press the floor away one more time. And then come all the way up. Tuck the toes under. Find yourself briefly in a high plank. If that feels good, if not, drop your knees. Find that length through the crown of your head. And then think like someone is grabbing you from the sacrum. Soften your knees and just let your hips lift up towards the ceiling. Find yourself in a down dog. Bend your knees as much as you need. Let your chest sink towards the floor, ears away from your shoulders. And then slowly start to walk your hands back towards your feet. And round all the way forward. Have your legs as wide as feels good here. Give yourself a little space for your torso. Walk over to the left. And then slide over to the right. And then come back to the center. I'm going to bring my feet back just underneath my hips, but keep them wide if you prefer. And then from here, tuck your tailbone under. Feel your sitting bones reach down your heels, or down the backs of your legs towards your heels. And then think about opening up through the front of the hips. Knees stay soft through the torso. Let your shoulders come on top of your hips, and then lift your head up. Reach your arms all the way up towards the ceiling. Inside bend over towards the right, and then towards the left. Pause at the top, and then feel your ribs drop down as you start to press your palms towards the floor. Shoulders are nice and relaxed, and your hands will find your side in a nice long, tall column. No hips jutting forward, and you are all finished.